I've missed that scream.
Yeah, same. Welcome back, everybody, to our fun look back on classic Trek in the Agony Booth. And this week we have a very special guest. You may know him from the cover art master of the Star Trek comics. You may know him from being a cool guy on the internet named Geek Filter. We know him best as Aaron Harvey. I'm sure you're sick of that joke. But, but we are very excited to have Aaron Harvey with us. He is the man. He has written the book on Star Trek, the animated series. So what better way to look back at the Infinite Vulcan than to have Aaron on with us? So Aaron, thank you. And hello.
Hello. Sorry, I had two screens running, so I was hearing like double of everything. It was like,
nice.
I had to find it. Hello.
Hi.
Greetings.
So yes.
I'm
Greetings.
also joined by VHS Jace, my good buddy.
Yes, I'm excited to be back in the Agony Booth. It's been a few months. So we've been doing Picard for the last 3 months. So it's great to get back into and challenge ourselves by watching some Trek again.
Exactly. We've got a cat fest going.
We've got more guests, by the way.
We've got Battle Cat. And what's your cat's name, Aaron?
Lexa.
Lexa.
She's
Wow.
named after Lexa Doig.
Nice. Very cool.
Because Bradley wouldn't let me name her Balana.
And then last but not least, of course, is our wonderful man of many talents, Jason Roy Gaston, the infinite and eternal. So what version are you? Are you version 7?
I have no idea at this point. Honestly, I stopped counting.
All right. Do you reckon if they did clone him, there'd be like Alien Resurrection versions of him?
Yeah, they'd be like the more.
They look like Snoke from.
This is the Alien Resurrection version of him. Can we watch the Agony Booth, please? I really like Neelix.
Tuvix. All right,
as long as you're not Jason 95.
Oh,
yeah.
Ouch.
Or Vista.
The Windows. All right.
Looks like you're trying to.
Windows 8.
It looks like you're trying to do an Agony Booth. Would you like some help? Come on, you need some help.
I got a spoon. Where's that? So
Can I
weird.
teach
What
you a
kind of
lesson?
spoon here for?
I have no idea where this came from. That's the scary part.
No, that's for our game later of Spoony Knifey. Remember?
Oh,
we played that Aussie game.
Okay, that's a wild game if there ever was.
No, that's a 30-year-old Simpsons reference.
Yes.
Okay.
Spoony, don't you know nothing about anything?
I do know a lot about nothing.
Okay.
I'll tell you that right now. All right, so let's hop into WTF did we just watch?
Okay, you kind of caught me out there, but here we go. Well, someone's calling because they have an opinion about it.
Yeah, we got a call into some.
Some guy named Shatner.
Yeah. Hang up on him, will ya?
Is that past tense? He hung up.
All right, let's do it.
All right,
I'll start it off, Joe, if you like.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, I'm going to confess, and this is where my credibility goes down the toilet. This is the first time watching it. All right, never seen the animated series before. But
that's cool.
I know this is supposed to be bad Trek, but I like this episode. I enjoyed it for what it is. And I've got a bit of bias because I'm a bit of a Filmation fan. Like me and Jason Below, we do a He-Man podcast, which is, we love the Filmation style. So
Occasionally some of the backgrounds will actually end up in He-Man.
yeah, exactly.
Oh.
But you know what? I know it was designed from a simplistic and there's budgetary reasons, but I love the design too. To me, it's beautiful, a lot of this work. So you're not going to get a lot of hate from me. I dug it.
All right, Jason Roy Gaston.
I have seen worse. I honestly don't think this episode was agony worthy.
No.
Certainly WTF a couple of times.
Yeah.
Why did they do that? And what's going on? But you do also have to understand that this was a show made for children by Filmation, a children's studio. So sooner or later, every Filmation series does the either giant episode or the shrinking episode, and they just did the giant episode. So it's just a trope. Yes, it was made for children, but 40-year-old men are going to be watching this and nitpicking, why does Sulu not have a body? Things like that.
All
you will
right.
get the shrinking episode eventually too. So
Oh, absolutely.
well,
But in Filmation's defense, Deep Space Nine did too.
oh yeah,
oh yeah.
a lot of stuff happened on TAS that went into Deep Space Nine or
Yes.
other shows, and then people complain about TAS being unrealistic. Like, yeah, that giant green space hand and the huge, like, none of those are fakey, and that's totally realistic, believable. So yeah, I think you have to kind of look at it that way. Yeah, I don't think it's agony. It's for me, I can see where it needed editing, or it was edited too much, basically. I know Walter Koenig, who wrote the episode, had to do a bajillion rewrites thanks to Gene and Dorothy. So
Yes.
And it was interesting, as we said before the show, I hadn't realised that. Obviously, he wasn't the only member. He was the only member of the main crew that didn't make it onto the animated series, but he wrote this episode.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
the first cast member to ever write an episode.
Wow.
I bet Shatner was seething over that too.
How?
How
He, right.
dare
episode,
he?
and not me.
Just to show I'm better. I'm going to direct before he does.
I will make a movie. It'll be a final frontier.
Could have had Tech War from Filmation.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Aaron, really quick. I noticed it seemed to me, and you're the person to ask. It seemed to me that
The
they
emergency animation hologram.
That's right.
You are.
Animation hologram today.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know: was Scotty also the giant clone? Was he the same? Was the same voice? Did they
the
reuse?
voice?
Yeah, did they reuse a lot of the cast? Like, I felt like the computer
Oh,
was Uhura, but trying to be like a computerized Uhura. You know what I mean? Like Nichelle Nichols was doing the voice of the computer.
yeah. She was the weird historical database computer. I don't know if
Right.
that was supposed to be a different voice than the actual Enterprise computer, because I
Mhm.
think it was maybe. But yeah, and I off the top of my head, I cannot remember who Caniculus was played by. If that was him, or it was supposed to be Walter. That's part of that's where I'm like, I can't remember who they actually chose.
Wow.
And he, James Doohan does a good enough impression that you're changing his voice that it's like sometimes it's hard to tell, was this him? Was it Lou Scheimer?
Right.
Sometimes
That's
he'll
why
step
I
in.
wanted to
So
know.
Oh,
yeah,
apparently
that was
he
a
was
I
very
will
good at
I will
voices.
look here and I'll see if I can if we wrote it down.
Yes, on the
That's why
book that you wrote.
The reason we wrote this is so I don't have to look the exact notes. It comes out of my head into the book, and there it is.
Yeah, I've pulled the memories out of my brain. Therefore, this version
Yes.
will not get passed to the next version of me.
Caniculus
I know
was voiced
Michael
by James Doohan.
Yep, I
Yeah, I
thought
was
so.
gonna say,
There we
Yeah,
go.
I'm good at,
Yeah.
I have a
read
good ear.
somewhere that he had a really good diverse voice and he could do different
Yeah.
voices really well. So they used him a bunch, apparently.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it's so funny. I don't know if you've ever heard the legend of James Doohan reading the novelization of Relics, the TNG
that's
episode.
really good.
Mm.
He
Oh,
does
yeah.
all the voices in that one too, and he does an amazing Data impression.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Really?
yeah, he does.
You
I've
have-
actually that
it-
popped up on TikTok. Not too long
I
ago.
think so because I just recently saw it. But
Yeah.
James Doohan's impression of Data was, "Captain, we are seeing a Dyson sphere. It is in front of us."
yeah, it was really
This
fun.
man never watched The Next Generation.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
probably asked
Tell
him,
he didn't.
"Do you want to be on an episode of
The
The
robot
Next
is right.
What the hell is The Next Generation? I've never heard of it. What do you mean
good
there's
James
another
Doohan.
series?
There's only one, and it's mine.
Two?
Yeah, let's go to the summary.
You want to go to the summary? All right,
Yes.
and it's the summary, all right? It's almost a giveaway of the plot.
Yeah, right. A giant clone of Caniculus named Caniculus 5 kidnaps first officer
Final
Spock.
Frontier.
Yeah, exactly. Caniculus survived through the centuries by periodically transferring his consciousness into a new, more advanced clone body. He believes that the galaxy as war ravaged as Earth was when he left it.
That's not a synopsis. That's just a huge spoiler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Don't blame me,
Who
blame
wrote
the
that?
internet.
Yeah.
It's like saying, 2001, Dave Bowman is kidnapped by a giant cube in space and turned into a star baby.
yeah, that's right.
It's Star Trek the movie. Voyager, the space probe was
Yeah,
at
that
the base of
That doesn't
Can
even
we
talk about like
say-
the plant people. Like
Yeah, it doesn't even mention them, which was
No.
voiced
no,
by
which
James
I really
Doohan as
wish
well.
we had a live action version of those plant people.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
Leave
I
it
wish they would've
to
been.
leave it to Strange New Worlds or Lower Decks. I'm sure they're
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
After all, if Spot
Well,
2
they've
has
mentioned
already
Lower
showed
Decks.
up, Spock 2
They are
showed
a
up.
bunch of
then-
liars, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of liars.
There's a
though.
Philosian working in tactical, apparently in Lower Decks, because they mentioned that once.
Oh.
Oh.
Whereas, like, asking Mariner was trying to get Boimler a date. He's like, "What about the Philosian in tactical? She seems like a nice plant person."
Oh,
I love that stuff with Lower Decks, though, because you
Yeah.
really need to watch those episodes multiple times to get all the references.
Right.
Oh, yes.
'Cause they're
Yeah,
so
they do a
thick
great
and
job.
fast.
And Lower Decks
Yeah.
loves the animated series. I mean, you've got the shapeshifter that shows up at one point. You've got a kitsune that works on the bridge. Not a kitsune. What are they called? Kazinti.
Kazinti.
Yeah. Sorry, I got Teen Wolf and
No,
Star
no.
Trek mixed up in my head for a second.
No, it's
But
fine.
yeah, I love Lower Decks.
As a kid,
love
I
for
called her
TAS.
Maress as like Maress or Emress or something like that. I for the longest time had the wrong pronunciation, even when I was doing the book. I was like, oh wait, that's really not. You know how you read something over and over again in a book, and then you hear it actually spoken. It was one
Yeah.
of those things. Like I've heard it all my life, but somehow I just didn't clock it for some reason.
I know.
Very
The
weird.
first time I ever watched the TV show, I thought, "What do you name his name? Isn't Scooty? Beam me up, Scooty. It makes it sounds better." Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so starting with Jace, what did we just watch? What's going on here?
With me, yeah. What did we just watch? I think some good mythology building.
Yeah.
I actually do, because at the end of the day, it was the first time I remember seeing, and I'm going to be wrong here, guys, for the Star Trek experts below me,
Yep.
but tying back to the Gen X Wars and getting a clone that isn't Khan, isn't directly related to Khan, but still comes from that era, I thought was really interesting and good. I think Sulu needs to get slapped across the head. Who picks up a plant like that?
He's a botanist.
Spiky
I know he
Yes.
should know better, especially if it's moving.
Yeah, that was pretty dumb. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Pretty
agree.
dumb.
And-
But I
It's
love
like
the
watching
hard cut.
Alien.
Yeah. Why? What does this egg do? Oh!
Yeah.
But
Oh
I love
my,
the hard
this-
cut because
this
they go
pod-
from
Open. Let me stick my face in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, we have to mention the most obvious and well-known Easter egg of all time, that the Retlaw plant is Walter spelled backwards.
Wow. He
yes.
Fielder had mentioned that before we went live.
yeah. Before we went live. But yeah, there's some great moments in this for me that I was expecting, because it was an Agony Booth episode and I hadn't seen it, and I still have scars from Code of Honor doing that.
Mm.
Ugh.
That's
I
your
was very
fault.
concerned.
Is it
That is your
scars or
fault.
Jerry curl juice?
Just let your soul.
I'm ending the stream.
That would be best.
No.
Hey,
no.
Aaron said earlier that sometimes Filmation reused like some of the backgrounds that made it into He-Man and things like that. And I got to say, with this image, this gives me a Masters of the Universe background vibe
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm. Oh,
Which
you
I
know
thought
them.
was-
You know them cheap so and so's at Filmation were just reusing everything. I'm surprised Spock didn't show up in
You
the
call
background
them
at one
cheap, I say efficient animation.
Efficiency,
The music
yeah,
is
you gotta
reused,
save some
too.
money.
point. Oh yeah. Well, I know a lot of the musical cues from Star Trek TAS ended up in Jason a Star Command.
Or,
As a matter of fact, I think they used most of
Arc
the
2.
background music. Yes, yes. Which
Mm.
I love the background music of TAS. I think it's great.
You know what
It
else I
actually
loved
worked
about this
okay.
episode? The idea of that there was a humanoid on that planet and it infected them.
Right.
I really love
Which
that
is
idea.
fairly
It gave me
realistic
the War of the
compared
Worlds
to-
vibe type of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Mm.
That
Americans
they
coming
came in,
to
they
Earth.
caused that bacteria and killed most of the population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, this is dark for kids' TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love the fact that they used an actual like germ, Staphylococcus. I'm like, wow,
Yeah, I
that's a
wasn't gonna
real
try to-
thing.
yeah.
Wow,
Oh.
that's nice.
I didn't know that.
It's
if they would have
no
said
one
Someone
had
COVID,
killed
that's
me
staph
whenever I was
infection.
12, so that's how. I know.
Ah, look at that.
Hey, Jace,
Yeah.
what does this character remind you of? Because we did a He-Man episode last week, and I swear to God,
Okay, that
with the
is
tentacle
Mulcrum.
arms?
It's
Yes,
Mulcrum. It's
with
just a
wings.
bird version, yeah.
Yes. I thought it was kind of cool.
Which I
Um,
thought the little tentacles looked dirty. I don't know. To me, I was just like, those are reproductive organs.
Yeah. They
like
were
a
looking
pig.
to go somewhere, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
plug in.
To me, it reminds me of what is it? Zucchini pasta. Just-
Oh wow, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, because I'm relatively new into the animated series, I need to ask this question. Who's the alien dude, and did he ever get lines?
That's Sulu, and yes, he does.
No, Eric.
Yeah, that's
I set myself up
Lieutenant
for
Eric's.
that gag. I
that
really
is
did.
Eric's. He's and there's two different.
He's a
names for his
Dosian. He's
species.
not Triaxian.
Yes, I've heard both
No.
of those. I like
'Cause the
Edosian
second
better.
one is dumb because it's like, oh, let's call people humanoids bipolaroids, or I don't know.
Yeah.
By Polaroids. No,
But does he get lines in this show at all?
he does, and guess who his voice is?
James Doohan.
James Doohan.
I knew
James
it.
Doohan.
Yes.
And it's
But I gotta
basically James Doohan doing this. Captain, we don't know where to go.
I recently basically looked at every line that he did, which is not that hard because he doesn't get a lot of them. And it's like most of it is just him responding, but he's also very snarky when he does it. That's about
Yes.
the only kind of.
I can
Very
see
much
that
is.
because if you look at this image, yeah, he's got that kind of "I'm better than everyone" look on.
Yeah,
his
he
face.
does
I
have
know,
that,
you just want to smack that.
Like these
look
guys
right
are
off his
idiots.
face. There is actually in the extended canon that has been wiped out of continuity lately, Peter David actually has Eric's get lost in a temporal anomaly and end up in the late 24th century where he joins the crew of the USS Excalibur.
Oh.
And that's where he gets his best characterization ever because he is a complete smartass.
Mm.
And he also lives for a very long time. Like there's a great
Longer than
short story.
Vulcans.
Yes, there's a great short story written by Peter David. And incidentally, if you are listening to this, Peter David is having some health problems. He's an amazing Star Trek author. Go buy his books and help the man out because he is a great Star Trek talent that has gone too far unrecognized. But he wrote a short story called The Road to Eidos, in which Eric's, after being lost for over 90 years, decides to go home because his dad is dying.
Mm.
He goes home, and it's the word dying is basically like an analogy for being reborn. So his dad is basically shedding his skin.
Oh.
Comes up, he goes, "Oh, Eric's, I'm surprised you made it." And they're like, "You didn't know he was missing for 90 years? We didn't notice."
Oh, dang. They live a long
Because
time.
they live for so long.
Time
Yeah.
is relative.
Wait, so that means he probably died on the Excalibur and Picard, right?
Well,
Ooh.
that continuity doesn't work anymore. It's not around
yeah.
anymore. The Excalibur in Peter David's books was part of the New Frontier line. It was an amazing series of books. Again, go get them. I know they're not in continuity anymore, but they are just incredible books, and you will not regret it. They're wonderful. You get to see more of
Star
Erickson,
Trek
you
had
get to
its
see more of
own-
Imris.
Hey,
Star Trek
can
had its
I-
own Crisis on Infinite Earth sort of
Oh,
Yes.
thing recently that just
Oh,
sort of
neat.
wiped out everything.
Yeah.
Clean
Besides
things
the
up a
one-
bit, put the broom
Yeah.
through.
Do they clean up the Kelvin universe? They both tie that bow?
Yeah, I don't think they ever
I don't think
The
studio
Kelvin
is
They may
universe
have-
is kind
ready to
of
kill
doing
that
its
off.
own thing, I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
right, but because this was like all the universes, I'm wondering if they may have hinted at it. I can't remember.
Okay.
I haven't
It was
read those
Dayton Ward,
books yet,
David
but I want
Mack,
to.
and
Yeah,
they're-
I'm
David Mack is also a good author, so I do need to watch those, read those,
I
watch
have
those.
one other dumb question to ask because I'm new to this, and it's the same question every boy and girl would have asked at the end of this episode. Is there a second giant Spock in the universe?
yeah, does he still
Well,
exist? Yeah.
Lower
First,
Decks,
or-
Lower Decks answered that question
Seriously?
because in the Collector episode, what's hanging from the ceiling? A giant Spock skeleton.
so at some point he passed away.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Now
And
I have
that
to go
blew
back.
my mind. to
But
Spock.
was he cloned?
Yeah.
Actually,
Spock,
Mike-
did
Mike-
Spock 2 get a sequel? Is there a Spock
Yeah.
3? A Spock 3? The
Mike
Search for
McMahon and
Spock.
I kind of did that. We were at the premiere of the second season. Yeah, it was second season. Just basically going back and forth, and I kind of groaned. We were all outside watching it at a. It was on a movie a movie lot, but it was in the back lot that looked like a yard and a neighborhood. So we were having a block party essentially, which is kind of fun. I was just like, "Ugh." And he's like, he was very old. Just yelled at me from back. So, Because I've been told that they pull this book up whenever they need to know something for the animated series.
Oh, that's
kind of
what
cool.
a compliment that is.
That's a heck of a compliment.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Congrats.
So it was fun to actually be able to talk to him in person and give him a hard time about that. It's like, you killed Spock. It's like,
No,
he
And
was
he
very
can't challenge you
old
because you
too.
can just go, I wrote the book, dude. So you can't challenge
Oh
him.
wow, look at you.
Ah, look at that. That's great.
That's
Yep,
spot
there's
on.
Spock too.
Wow.
You
There's
might
also
even
an
say
alien
it's-
skeleton in there.
You might also say it's Spock on. Wired.
Oh, that's it. I'm kicking him from this.
You knew what you were doing when you put me on the show.
There's a xenomorph
but that
skeleton in
answers
there
that.
too,
That's
which is kind of
cool.
cool.
Is there?
Yeah.
Hold up.
Yeah,
hold
look,
up,
go
hold
back,
up,
bring it
hold up.
back, bring it back.
Let me see.
Not in this shot, but in
Oh,
this room.
okay.
Oh.
Is that one of those noodly birds though to his left?
Oh, could have
Yeah.
been.
Oh,
'Cause
no,
the
that'd be-
others wouldn't be bony.
I think it is the noodly bird, yeah.
Wait, would it have? It would have to be a different one from a different episode that copied it, because they wouldn't have skeletons, would they? If they're plants.
I don't know. Oh,
No, that's right,
yes.
that's- yes.
Oh, look at you with your
Oh.
knowledge.
Yeah,
like
with your
Aaron.
science and stuff.
Slay, burn. All right. So, what did you guys think? What did we just watch on that one? Aaron, what was your...
it is. It's a lot of ideas at once. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, there was a lot of like, why are you doing this? That's dumb. There's it's not a bad episode per se, but like just some stuff that even like kids watching it would be like, why did the guy who's a botanist touch the plant? Or they don't ever bring down security with them. They went back
No.
up.
Never,
Like, the first time I could see, but the second time they should have had a security force with them.
That's
Or
in my notes.
or at least a suit. You know what I mean? Like, I
My
would've-
favorite is like
Hey,
they're also
Captain.
running through the dark, and it's like, turn on the belt lights. I'm like, would the light come out of your belt buckle?
Yeah,
Like, where was
like-
that? It's like, that's just weird.
Blinkers on
Um,
the side.
Yeah,
I like that, like you said, the eugenics wars, and something interesting for the time period. Like, we don't think about it now, but talking about DNA and cloning and cells and all this stuff was really new then. So the
Yeah.
fact that it's being
Yeah,
used
that
on
would've been a
kids'
fair
television and being actually spoken fairly, I mean, like correctly,
Accurately,
they didn't
yeah.
make anything up, except for giant cloning. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I heard that Walter was sort of like big into reading science stuff at that time, so he might have just got it from the news of the day, basically.
I read. the book
But you're
that
right. It would have
said-
been super fresh back then.
Yeah.
That concept. Hey, Joe, should we really? We're getting into different territory. Should we throw to the next segment?
Did Jason
Because-
get to say what did we just watch?
Well, he just constantly talks.
Yeah, I just never shut up. My whole thing is it just seems like this was two different episodes smashed together.
Okay.
WTF.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
All right.
Yeah.
So why would you do that? Let's go.
Mr. Smooth, there's nothing there.
Mr. Sulu's not even there.
There's nothing
What
there.
happened with him?
Not all of his
There's
body
a bit
parts, at
there.
least.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, we were talking a little bit earlier before we went live. One of the things that bugged me was when at the end, the grand finale, where Spock's body was being absorbed or the life force was being taken out of him, and they pan back to the giant clone, and then they pan back to what's supposed to be Spock in that contraption, and he's not there anymore. There's nothing there.
Ward.
Still, there's nothing there. You know? And it was like, wait, where'd he go? And then they come back, and he's back again. I was like, what happened?
I'm
Look,
not
you
sure
know
in
the
that
animation-
instance, but oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was going to explain, like, one of the reasons sometimes that you don't see like legs or something like that, they have a limit of, I think it was 5 or 6 layers of animation that they could put down, because after a while, the lucite, not lucite,
Celluloid.
the celluloid. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
There's another
I'm
word
smart.
for that, but as it stacks on top of each other, it gets darker and darker, and you can't see underneath. They even have different layer, depending on what layer you're drawing on. They have different colors for the same, so it looks the same at the top. So you have like the yellow from his shirt. If that's on the bottom layer, it's got to be brighter, so it cuts through the layers of plastic, basically.
Ah, getcha. Yeah.
So
I getcha.
it can get to the point where they're trying to do so much animation that they have to, maybe sometimes because they're doing it so fast, lose something. So they'll lose a layer of like, okay, we get rid of his legs. Nobody's going to notice it. It'll be like half a second. So
I
that-
also think that if you're targeting to kids as well, you could probably take those and go, oh, the kids will figure it out. You know what I mean?
Well,
An
there was-
8-year-old.
it happened
isn't
a lot
going,
more in Fat
"Wait,
Albert,
press
apparently."
pause, which you can't back in 1973.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I've got some continuity questions now. No kids doing that.
Yeah, it's
Except
you
for
saw
Jason,
this
just us.
episode. Yeah.
Jason and
Why does Sulu have no body?
Why does Spock disappear?
Why is Sulu and Kirk flirting?
Oh my!
They are.
Yeah,
that was flirting at the end.
Oh yes.
That was
Yes.
It
flirting.
didn't make any sense either.
No.
Like that's the wrong word for whatever they're talking about.
There you go.
I do find it hilarious because of their conflict over the years. That someone wrote that, and we'll make Shatner and
Yeah, we'll piss
kind
off both of them.
That'll
Yeah.
annoy both.
We'll
of
have
them.
them flirt.
That's
Yeah,
Walter
yeah.
having his fun.
Yeah. All right. So why would you do that, Jace? VHS Jace, tell me.
Why would you do that? To make money? No.
Yeah. That's the real answer. But...
Essentially, look, I don't have a lot. Why would you do? I mean, yes, of course, there's some animation kind of missing. Yeah, why did Sulu pick up that bloody plant? Why are the Felosians lying liars? Like, why
Yeah.
do they say, oh, we're here to... And they establish this lie, like, oh, we're here about peace and all that kind of thing. And then, literally, they go back, they confess, literally minutes later, don't they?
Yeah.
About their evil plan as such.
Oh, sorry
I
about that,
think
but,
they still think it's good to plan, though. I think they believe in
Yeah,
bringing
true.
peace. So
Good plan.
yeah, it's still the same
Yeah,
plan to them. It's just
it's the
a different
Borg thing.
scale.
We're bringing peace and harmony via violence.
Yeah.
The plants choose violence. So
The plants woke up and chose.
Oh my
violence.
gosh, it's the happening all over again.
yeah,
Don't you
it
care
is the
about the bees?
happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, nah, look, at the end of the day, I'd have to watch it a second time to really get finicky about it. But, yeah, the things, because I'm a bit biased towards filmation, I forgive some of those storytelling elements, because we experienced that stuff on the He-Man show as well. But, no, I mean, yeah, I love the idea of it. Yeah, a humanoid species was there, killed, well, it was, what's his face? Caniculus, isn't it? The
Yeah.
guy from
Caniculus?
Greece.
Caniculus. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the one of the best friends from Greece, wasn't that?
That's
his name?
Kaneki. That's Kaneki.
Ah,
yeah.
close. So close.
So
Not really, no.
Not at all. So far.
but you know, he's not a terrible guy either. There's no real villain here, isn't there?
No.
Because he thinks it's like that classic story when you find an old Japanese soldier who's been stuck in the jungle for 10 years and they go find him and he goes, it's still wartime, right? I'm still fighting the war. And that's what he's kind of going through. But he's essentially not a bad guy because once it's explained to him, he's all, okay, I'm wrong. All right, I'll use my powers for kind of good.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get why he cloned himself large, though. Could someone explain that to me?
I have a theory because
Why would
no,
he
no.
be so
If
big?
you look at the plants, when they go, these are our ancestors or whatever, the
They were
last
huge.
generation, they were huge. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that Felosians, like plants, get bigger as they get older, and so the group that he saw when he was there was gigantic. And being somebody from the eugenics wars era, he has to be bigger than them. Because if you notice, he's just slightly larger than all
Yeah.
of those things that
Superiority.
were
It's
in
true
that.
because
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that, isn't it? They're massive.
Yeah.
I kind of think he's just insecure about something.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if everything else grew, but that didn't?
Except that, yeah, it was like,
In the way that he acted, you think that it did.
oh man, yeah. All right,
So that's
Jason
just my
Roy-
theory.
I like that theory. Jason Roy Gaston.
Yes. Okay.
Explain yourself.
Explaining this episode is it's not possible. I don't understand how Gene forced so many rewrites on Walter and this episode still turned out this way.
Yeah.
You would think that
Well, it's
after so many
because they did.
I don't know. To me, I think rewrites are supposed to make something better and not make something more incomprehensible. But I know that the writing process in Hollywood is destructive and
I
horrible.
was going to say, watch movies from the last 30 years and we'll talk
Oh,
about
yeah. Oh, yeah.
executive interference.
It's a train wreck. I mean, there's no other word for it. It's a train wreck, but it's not a horrible train wreck. It's
No.
got its weird charm to it.
Yeah.
It hasn't poisoned an entire neighborhood, as it
No,
Right,
it
right.
hasn't. It's just given everybody diarrhea for a couple
Right.
of hours at
Yeah,
worst.
neurovirus. Everybody's got
Exactly.
one. There's a benefit.
I
You lose weight quickly.
I found it more innocent than anything else. It just had kind of like a naive innocence to the story that would appeal to children. Because I know this was one of the first ones I watched whenever I found out that there was an animated series and it was being broadcast on Nickelodeon. It was just weird, big Spock. That was it. Wow, Spock is big. How is he going to fit on the Enterprise now? Is he going to have to crouch?
The mind meld, though. Can I just say that mind meld moment, which is just
I loved the fact that Sulu actually changed the mind meld to the mind touch.
Yeah, mind touch. Oh,
Yeah.
It's the mind touch. Oh,
But they use it later too, or earlier than this. I think they say mind touch as well. I don't know if it's because mind meld was like some writer was more attached to it and they wanted it not to be used in TAS, or it was weird. We did notice that.
There's a couple of other weird things they do in this episode. For example, after Sulu stupidly picks up the walking plant and gets stung, Bones and Kirk all run up there and they're like, Jim, he's got 1 minute to live.
Yeah,
I mean, no.
And like 4 minutes later,
the other plant people come up.
We have to give him this antidote. I don't know if I trust you with that antidote. Yeah, he's gonna die, dude. Okay, you've already said you can't do anything. What's he gonna do? Get deader? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
He's gonna be
And
more dead.
I will also say that it's very considerate for the Philosians to make Giant Spock 2 a giant uniform to go along with it.
Yeah,
especially
And a
whenever
giant
Caniculus.
Yeah.
Especially whenever Caniculus just has a loincloth. They just chose to put Spock into a giant uniform.
Their uniforms are made out of xenolon, which is a organic material, which will come in handy in the episode where there's shrinking involved.
Oh yes, I'm sure it does.
So I'm sure it's somehow related. Like they basically grew him a larger uniform.
Okay,
Since
it's
they're
been a while
plants,
since we've done an Agony Booth. Remind me, do we have hidden gems or like a silver lining coming up, right?
Redeeming
Okay,
features.
I'm hanging on to the rest of my stuff until then because I have quite a few
Beautiful.
redeeming
All right.
features.
Aaron?
So what is this section? I'm sorry.
Really, it's a section just talking about what you liked or what you didn't.
Oh, okay.
It's a very
Yeah.
generic.
Why would they do that?
So-
Like, what stuff that you?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I was actually why would they do that? I was going to talk about the giant version. In story, I think it's because of what we talked about. In real life, it's because Gene wanted to do something big because you could do that in animation and you couldn't do it as easy in real life. So he was always pushing that. And this unfortunately felt like a cool thing to do, but with the wrong story. It's like there was no reason for them to have made him gigantic or either of them. I think it could have been more interesting and more poignant if they hadn't. And we now think of the people from the eugenics wars as not good people. So I'm curious if this is like just another scientist from that era, or was he escaping from something, or so because he seems to be okay, but not like the best person in the world, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that, and I wonder if some of that is because I know that both Dorothy and Gene were making revisions. So I have a feeling it's like Walter giving to Dorothy, giving to Gene, to Dorothy back. And like, I have a feeling that having 3 people trying to do it may have actually hindered instead of helped with the revisions.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Because I've seen some stuff between Dorothy and Gene, and they're sort of like, do this. No. It's like, yes. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, because he doesn't want to be involved until he wants to be involved, basically, is what it kind of boiled down to. You could kind of tell that. So that's why I always consider Dorothy the showrunner, essentially. She had a lot of autonomy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
One thing I noticed about this
Which is
series is that they changed the theme a little bit, the opening theme. I thought that was an interesting
I kind
take.
of like it though.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
it was cool.
It's
just
almost like the first, because they do that a lot now, don't they? I mean, if
Now
you
they
listen
do,
to
yeah.
Strange New Worlds, it's got all those themes, all the themes of the current era.
they
harken
couldn't-
back.
They didn't want to pay Alexander Courage the royalties, was what it was. I mean, that's
And
what
there
it
it
boiled
is.
down to.
I'd always
And
money
Gene.
Yeah,
And
and
Gene was also connected. Yeah. So that is
Yeah.
actually
He's-
is part of that, because
he's back.
the
He's
budget-
in the back trying to write lyrics to this one.
yeah.
I
was
don't
actually-
know how to
reputation
write
in
these
Hollywood.
words.
Gene's reputation in Hollywood at this time wasn't great, was it?
No.
Like, it didn't end well with Star Trek. So,
No.
It was probably cheaper just to get a band together and do the song, which is actually they recorded it in Paris because it was cheaper than doing it in LA. I have no idea how, but that's what they did.
Because all you got to do to pay the recording artist is cigarettes. Here you go.
So I've got an interesting.
Guess we should be thankful that there was no accordion in it then.
Oh yeah.
Because this is 73, 74, has Gene at this point been out to the cons and started to get a whiff of how massive this franchise is? And is the animated series in a way a reaction to that?
Well,
You know what I'm trying to say? It's because he started going to cons and he realized it was blowing up a lot bigger than he thought.
Right.
Well, and he was at cons since like the show aired. He was dressed as a Romulan at one of like the early ones, which was interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But he, I think they knew pretty early on that it was big because it was big before the show it went off the air, with fans and such. And and I know that. Well, one of the reasons they did the animated series is because they actually approached them in 1969. They were going to do a series that was running concurrently with the last season. It would have been on Saturday morning, and it's about a training ship, the Excalibur, and each main character had their own like teenage sidekick essentially, except for Walter, because Walter was too young as a character to have a sidekick because he was already like a young ensign. So even in the animated series that didn't happen, he didn't have a position, which is kind of funny. Wow. So they basically, Gene's like, oh, this is a great idea, except no, we're not going to do kids in space. Essentially, he didn't want to do a child.
You don't want Batman and Robin it.
Yeah,
and now we
didn't want Starfleet Academy, essentially. Yeah,
and we have Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
all right.
So he's like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it as Star Trek, which was cool. I mean, at the time, I think that makes sense. Now, you have the option of doing different shows because there's enough content and stuff there to anchor it.
Right.
Where before, I think if you just had TOS, you could have made it. You could have ruined it basically, and people would be like, "I'm not going to come back to this."
Yeah.
100%.
All right.
In fact, there were petitions by people to stop it from coming on the air because it would ruin the chance of the show coming back or becoming a movie.
Oh wow!
Because so this is the first That's Not Real Star Trek that we had, unfortunately.
And I've got to ask that question.
They bitch about that.
What is the deal with people thinking this isn't canon? I don't understand that argument. Like,
that's a whole. That could be a whole show in itself. But
yeah.
But essentially, there was a time at TNG right before Gene passed that his lawyer was whispering in his ear that he wouldn't be taken seriously if he was connected to a cartoon, even though he got paid $1,400 per episode just to be a lawyer in TAS. Yeah. That Larry Niven was starting an RPG with a Kazinti, which didn't happen, I don't think, but they didn't, there's that. And Filmation was closing. So those three things together, basically the lawyers at Paramount said, can we just not use the TAS stuff for a while? Because although if we were taken to court for some reason, we'd win, but we just don't want to deal with that. So for a chunk of time until all of this was, And so that somehow got mutated with the fans into it's not canon. So it never wasn't canon, but and so, and Gene didn't dissuade people from that thought because he was being told not to like it essentially. And so he said, but Gene can say something's not canon all he wants because he said I think Star Trek 2 wasn't canon at one point or something. So but he doesn't have that ability to take it out of canon because it's shown up on screen. It's
certainly embraced now, isn't it? I mean, when I was doing some research only a few months ago, seeing the Voyager intro redone as an animation, seeing the TNG intro done as an animation, I'm like, hey man, like I would totally watch the hell out of a TNG animated series done in that old style. But I don't think probably audiences would accept that, would they, as an ongoing thing? That kind of level
That's
of
what short treks are for.
Or
Bring back short treks.
Yeah. Hey, if you're new to the channel and you're watching for the first time, please be sure to subscribe. It helps us out, and be sure to give us a like. It's free, and it goes a long way to help the channel grow. All right, let's get into redeeming.
Grow like Spock.
Do we want to have a look at? We've got like 63 comments in the chat.
Oh yeah, let's see what's up there.
Oh yes, those people. Yes.
Yeah. You want me to?
For once, my ADHD didn't have me go over and read.
Yeah, I got it. So first we got hello Nita. How are you?
Hello, we're
Nita.
missing you today, Nita. Clearly, because we don't have you doing the comments.
Yeah, exactly. And then Welcome Geek Filter to the CQ, the Captain's Quadrant. And then that girl, Ray, and Navia. Hey, what's up? Hey.
It's just all our people on the chat.
Yeah, and then somehow we got somebody that's in two places at once. Hey, Geek Filter, how you doing?
Well,
So
I
you're
am,
which number clone are you then?
Yeah, is that Geek Filter 5 or are you? Geek
No, I'm
Filter 5?
just the computer, so I'm both.
Oh, nice.
I'm just picturing a gigantic
hologram
filter sitting there,
Yeah,
one
exactly.
finger at a time. Click, click, click.
Hello.
Just go damn autocorrect.
Hello,
Oh, Sarah. Hi,
Sarah
Sarah.
Andrews. Hope you're well. Good to see you here. And then we've got Cosmic Space Mom. Hello,
Oh,
everyone.
hey,
Hey,
hope
how you
you're
feeling,
feeling
Mom?
better, Space Mom. I know she
Yeah.
hasn't been well.
Yeah, this is nothing like bad weather in the USA up in cold ass New York to do that. Nita agrees with Geek Filter. This episode of TOS with the giant green hand was Agony Booth worthy.
That was the Savage Curtain, wasn't it?
I think so. That sounds
Yes,
about right. Yeah. And there's a lot of hellos back and forth. Oh, I wonder if it's how about the giant versions of people? I want a giant clone. John, I agree with you. I think it would be cool. He could pick up all the big stuff above me that I can't reach. You know,
Exactly.
that'd be awesome.
No, I don't want to do that. I'd be too lazy. I'd have to keep bending down to get through doorways. Be like Gandalf going to,
Yeah, to Hobbiton,
Baggins' house. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the plant people. They were so creepy.
They
Aw.
were.
I can see
yes.
people thinking like, Day of the Triffids sort of thing.
Yeah.
A little bit of that.
And then who picks up
Absolutely.
a plant? Who picks up a walking plant? That's what it is.
I get the feeling that Navi doesn't have a lot of indoor plants in her house.
No, I don't think so. At least they don't move if she does,
Yeah.
I think this is the only episode in all of Star Trek that the genetic enhancements were not met with discontent like the Khan episode. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that. Totally, Nita.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it, that they've kind of, like Aaron said earlier, attempted to make, not total villains out of that community. I was gonna
Which
say
is more
species,
realistic.
But they're not, are they?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely more realistic. Yeah, absolutely.
So you all know what Jerry curl juice is? I'm impressed. That's the soul glow.
I don't
Really?
Two reasons. One, I'm Australian, and number two, I don't have much going on.
Yeah.
Feeling oh so silky smooth.
I'm an old bat. Jerry curls were a classic hair don't from the 70s/80s. It messed up my mom's red velour couch.
Oh,
I remember
hello.
growing up and seeing the stain that was still in that velour.
Is that like from Coming to America when that
Exactly.
song, like, they
Yeah.
sit on the
That's what
couch?
happened. That's no joke. That was spot on. That's why they put it in the movie because it happened to people's couches. Nita, were you a Jerry curl?
Oh, Lord, let's not get into their back and forth.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that it?
yeah.
I think they're all just back and
The
forth.
last one that Devin said though, is like the green hand was the one where they met Apollo. So
Oh,
it was
okay.
not the Savage.
Oh.
good, Devin.
Hey,
Wow.
Devin, how are you,
Whom
mate?
gods destroy.
Hope you're
Yes.
enjoying your
Well,
phone
well,
case.
Yeah, thanks, Devin, for posting that you had you got your phone case and
That's
it's smashing and it looks really cool. And I appreciate you wearing our merch with pride. And if you want to, go to spectrumsynctorum.net and you can get merch. It's very pretty. All right, let's move on.
We are moving on to redeeming
Redeeming
features.
feature.
Or, however, let's throw a spanner in the works and let's give this man down here his moment to shine
Oh, okay.
with, of course, this segment here.
Oh my.
I like Data's.
That's the level of intellect and class we have here, Aaron. I'm sorry. Go, Jace.
Picture it. 197. Are you not going to make me big?
Yeah, I was gonna say, aren't you supposed to make
Oh,
it?
do you want to be big?
I want to be Jason too. There we
There
go.
There
we
we go.
Jason too.
There we go.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I forget he's really tall, actually. Just reminding.
I know everybody's like, I thought you were like 5'3".
I did too. I thought you were a little guy. And then all of a sudden, oh Lord.
You threw off my concentration.
Sorry.
All right, picture it. 1973. You're a man in his late 30s, early 40s, and you're excited because your favorite television show is coming back in animated form. And what's more, the original cast are returning. You're thinking, how will this look? What will the quality be? What will the sound be? And who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Now let's face it, Eric's was a bad character who replaced a decent character. Chekhov was never what I would call the star of Star Trek, but he was certainly present. Imagine this. Imagine Voyager without Harry Kim. Certainly the show would continue, but it would not be the same show. Eric's had no reason to be there. Walter did. Walter should have never been axed from the show. So, Eric's, you need to get yourself off that bridge and give Walter his place of honor back. But you can stay.
Yes.
But stay the hell out of Uhura's chair.
There you go.
That's it. There's my intergalactic rant of the week. Oh
Yay.
my.
Well said.
Well
There you
said,
go.
well said. All right.
The rest came from the Hood.
Yeah, right.
Bio, the USS Hood, where she got probably destroyed by or shot at by the Enterprise when we were doing the Ultimate Computer.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
which makes me wonder like how it reacted to the automated bridge defense system.
Meow.
Yeah.
Meow.
I want to see more Cations
Clawing
in
at the
Star
door.
Trek. I really like that species.
That's an interesting species for sure.
They show up in Star Trek 4, I think the first time in live action.
Oh wow.
And then, Dr. Tiana, of course, is
Yeah,
a
Dr.
Cation.
Tiana, yeah.
I just like the species. I want to see more of them.
It's like kobolds. You know what I mean? Like the dog people. You don't really see much of them, but
Yeah.
it's a fun little mythology.
And of course, if you have ever watched Final Space, which is a little difficult to do nowadays, but they have cat people on that show, and I like to think that they're Cations too. So,
Yeah, they totally are. You're right. All right, redeeming features, Jace.
It looks like gold. Tastes like gold.
It is gold.
Oh, I am so out of
Rings
practice
like
on
it.
the Agony Booth.
Yeah, we haven't done this in like months. So
I know, we're all a bit rusty.
yeah, Aaron, redeeming features for this episode.
I think the redeeming features is just the continuity and the connection to the bringing in the history in and having that whole thing, and the plant people. Honestly, that was an interesting idea that we have not seen before, and it's kind of carried out in like TNG, where we have like silicon based, some non-traditional based life forms.
Yeah,
Like those two things I really enjoyed about it.
absolutely.
I would like to have seen the whole show with just the plants, with the
that would have been cool.
Phylosians.
Yeah,
That's what I thought the whole episode was when I started watching it. I'm like, okay, here are the
plant
the
people.
story. So yeah.
yeah. All right, Jace, VHS Jace.
Yeah, look, I agree. I was delighted by the idea of connecting it back to the eugenics war and having a character from there. And like I said, the idea of having a lost soldier who's stuck out of time and doing what he believes is the best, not only for the planet, but eventually to, bring peace to the galaxy by killing a bunch of people. But still
Peace
not a bad
through
idea.
force.
Yeah, through forceful plants.
And
It's like
because
Evil
I
Dead.
hadn't watched the show before, I was just like, this is cool having these characters in filmation. I dug the animation in it.
Yeah, the animation was
And
cool.
I had a good time with that. I'm not at the point yet where I could really pick it apart too much because I'm still at that honeymoon phase of this is fun entertainment. I dig it. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm always
get
impressed
cynical
at
later.
how they, like use 9 lines and they can make a face that recognize the person. It's
Yeah.
just like it's simplified down to the point where like you can't simplify it anymore.
yeah.
So
I also
Jason?
think the voice performance did quite a good job. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, no, I
I
agree.
just think, they all sound pretty good to me. Like, they actually looks like Shatner was trying at least. So-
Yeah,
there was one section that reminds me that was like they're like, oh, it's our savior, blah, 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 blah. Well, they're all supposed to be kind of grumbling and talking to each other, but it was like it sounds like one person trying to do all of it
yeah. That's true. That's true.
at the same time. It was very weird.
Yeah, it's like a Missy Elliott video. Jason Roy Gaston, redeeming features.
So I really like the Phylosians. I'm going to bring the picture up of them right now. And I actually think that seeing this expressionless face with James Doohan's very calm voice behind it was very unnerving to me.
Yeah,
And I just found them not really scary, but just it put me on guard. And I thought that was a very nice, creative touch with that. I had another one here, and now I can't find it.
it's okay.
Okay. But I do have to say the silver lining. The entire time that I have his name written down here too, and now I can't find it either. I wonder if Caniculus.
Caniculus, yeah.
I shared this to the group earlier. VHS Jace was kind enough to put it into the image file. I'm going to take over this right now.
Yeah, go for it, brother.
Tell me you don't see it.
Like if no one, they're going to remake a live action version of this, and they need to get Steven back into the.
That would be amazing.
I don't think he would look very good in the loincloth these days,
Yeah,
but you know,
Neck down, yeah. Just put him in a green screen suit, you know.
I could just see him delivering those lines, just squinty, like. So I'm like big now. I was in the Eugenix War, and this is Star Wars or something. But I just had a cheeseburger. Steven Seagal scum, by the way. There you go. I said it.
Yeah. I think he's a Russian citizen now, so I think he might.
Well, even before he was a Russian citizen, he was just
not
some of the stories you hear about, especially whenever he was doing Saturday Night Live. Some
of
his ideas were just horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
And I also love, as he was getting later on in his career, the effort in the action scenes just dropped dramatically. Where you just,
like...
and that would be the move that would finish everyone off.
Yeah.
Like,
There you go.
Even the action scenes got lazy.
I'm sure Riff Tracks has done one of his movies at this point. Yeah, they had to have.
Yeah. Got him, don't you, at this point?
Oh, man. But this was the first time I've seen the animated series in a long time. For me, a redeeming feature is the animation. I think it was somebody said in the comments, I believe it was Nita, that it was ahead of its time. It looked really cool for a 70s, because I'm used to like Super Friends, where it was like, okay, that's really bad. Like everything doesn't move, and then this one guy. So hey,
they have no repeating backgrounds.
Yeah,
it's not like when they run, they just
I thought it was pretty cool.
Look, I'm happy we didn't get that sound effect when they run in one spot. And they run off the same background.
Now the pitter patter sound from Scooby Doo or the tinkle 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 sound from Fred Flintstone whenever he'd go bowling. Because either one of them I think would have been fabulous.
It would have been funny.
You could just loop one of those in.
Yeah, and I really I agree with the rest of the group. The Caniculus's story are what? Kaniki story. Pretty damn cool. Like, it makes you wonder if there's any other people from the Eugenics Wars stuck in a repeating pattern somewhere that they could stumble upon in the future.
It's just interesting that you opened that doorway, but you never really investigated again, do you?
No.
You know,
but somebody can look back at this and revisit. You know, they can be like, you know what, this is something big here. We might have an opening. So
the closest thing we got were those people. The people in the neutral zone when they found those people frozen in the 90s.
Oh yeah,
Samuel Clemens or what? No,
right. Or the one.
You mean the guy who's like, I want my stock options. I'm a very
that one.
Yeah.
I was in Friday the 13th, Part 8.
We just reviewed that yesterday or the day before.
In the books, he becomes the liaison to Ferengi from Earth, which totally fits.
For him.
Of course he does.
Perfect.
Yeah,
totally. All right, let us move on to.
Should we throw to a commercial?
The commercial break.
Commercials for a while. So we'll be back in 1 minute where we get a message from our sponsors. They're not really sponsors.
Now every weekend, Nickelodeon has the Adventures of Star Trek.
What time period?
Huh?
What time period?
Oh, yeah.
You have to remember.
Oh, yeah. Star Trek's on Saturdays at 9, 8 Central, and 6:30, 5:30 Central, and Sundays at 11:30, 10:30 Central. Sorry, fellas, I won't forget again.
I'll go over them again if you like.
No, I remember now. Star Trek's on Saturdays at 9, 8 Central, and 6:30, 5:30 Central, and Sundays at 11:30, 10:30 Central.
Thank you.
On Nickelodeon.
was
nothing like shameless self-promotion, is there?
Well,
I
you
guess
are.
you could say that's our sponsor right there.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
would
that's
say
true.
our sponsor is kind of here hanging out with us. So one of two. So yeah, all right. Now we're going into the wheel.
Aftermath.
Ow.
Oh, you know
Ow.
what? Forget Aftermath. Let's get into the best segment of
Yeah,
this,
let's just do the wheel.
of this, and that is the Wheel of Agony.
You will experience beast.
Oh,
Oh wow,
yeah.
the wheel has got an upgrade.
We got a new
Ooh.
wheel.
We got a
with,
brand new wheel for a brand new season.
Oh yes, look at
Absolutely.
that. I see
Nice.
some blue. What does the blue mean?
Okay, the blue means we've got a new addition this season where it's not just about agony. There's going to be some ecstasy here. So the blue slices are what some consider in our group to be great Star Trek episodes. So it's not all about the hate. We will get some good out of this as well, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
If we're lucky. So are we ready, gang? Are we ready to see what is burdened with us for next week?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Already. Imagine if it's Code of Honor.
No, Code of Honor not on there. We've already jumped that hurdle, that very painful spiky.
just stops and
barbed wire
changes.
shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it flips over, the blue flips.
Yeah.
The Code of Honor.
I'm seeing a few Agony Booth episodes that I actually think are high quality, so this is very
Ooh.
interesting.
All
Is
right,
there
let's
light on
find
there?
out.
'Cause
Let's
that-
put
that's my
ourselves
thing.
out of misery. Here we go.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Well, I'm getting dizzy.
Klingon honor demands that I don't throw up. Oh no.
Oh no!
Get back
No!
up to the light,
Lace.
people.
No.
It is profit and lace.
Ooh.
Ugh.
Oh no.
Oh, I hate
Armin's
that one.
least
Yes,
favorite
let's-
episode ever.
Whose?
Armin Shimmerman.
Oh, it was his least
Really?
favorite one too?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
he
yeah.
had a lot to
Oh.
do, didn't he? So,
I
yeah.
would rather watch Code of Honor again.
No.
Oh, no way.
No
It's not
way,
that
no.
bad.
I would.
This has a lot of.
We just go
troubling-
from racism to transphobia in
Yeah, I
one
was gonna say,
gigantic
there's some-
jump.
Hmm.
True.
At least it's
True.
topical still, I guess.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's true. It didn't. It aged gracefully. you know.
It was never. It couldn't have aged gracefully.
It was
because
rotten to begin
already
with.
Rotten.
Okay, what
Right, so
season
it
is
can't
this,
get
guys?
worse.
What season? are we
I think
talking?
this is season 6.
All right, so it's
Wow,
deep
so
in
they
the
were doing it
series.
with
It's
really
either
good.
6 or 7. I mean, it's like
Oh.
way through there.
Oh, that's a bit shocking because I was expecting you to say season 1, season 2.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
that's
this is
right.
a late.
No.
That's why this was
No.
so shocking just to have an episode this
Season
This-
6.
horrible.
Season 6.
Season
Wow.
6.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And that's like after we said when Worf and Garrick fought in the elevator. You fought well for a tailor. You know, like I always thought. You know, everything was amazing, and I didn't remember Prophet and Lace being so. You know,
Directed by Alexander Siddig. So that's.
Oh, wow. Who I'm going to be meeting Saturday. I'm going to the DGI Con.
Get some juicy information. on
Yeah,
that
turn
episode.
around and go, what the hell, dude?
Yeah,
What the
right.
hell
Why
was
did
with
you do
Prophet and
that?
Lace?
He didn't write it.
Yeah.
Your cat's Battle Cat is destroying.
Yeah.
your
What
office,
is going
Jason.
on?
I can
Like, are
hear
you
it in
going
the
to lose your
background.
house?
There's a fire over there. There's 3 dead bodies over there.
The cat's
There's a gigantic
looting
hole
the
in my
kitchen.
ceiling.
Wow. Jeez, is he one of those cats that doesn't let you go to the bathroom?
Yeah, she won't let me do anything by
Gee.
myself, and Murder Bean is the same way.
Nice. Oh, that's right. You have a whole nother fun
Yes,
bunch.
Murder Bean is in a cage right now because
And sleeping.
he likes to he likes to scream at me while I'm not holding him.
Wow.
Just to be clear, guys, Jason has officially become the crazy cat lady now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. He's
If
already
you
Yes.
go to front of his house, he'll be picking up his cats and throwing it. Hey, that's my second Simpsons reference tonight.
Oh,
Yeah,
that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that one I remember. I remember that.
The train doesn't come by here much anymore.
Aaron, do you have like a activating traveling camera? Like, because I know
Yeah, it's like it's the Apple thing. It's like
Ah.
it's cool sometimes, and then sometimes really irritating. Like if you just go like this, it's like, oh, let me just track you. I'm like, I just turned my head.
pretty cool.
Yeah, so I was doing this so I could see my cat
Yeah, and then the camera followed you, and I
sitting
saw
on the
it.
couch. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
back.
cats are important.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
So,
a cat
do we have a
person
stupid
too.
Star Trek question this week?
We do. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
Join us next week for more stupid Star Trek questions.
You put the
Considering
outro.
I played the outro instead of the intro. That's pretty great,
We're
Jason.
back,
We are
baby.
a well-oiled machine. here
Yeah,
today,
yeah,
let me
like
tell
you
you.
never
Tonight, aren't
stopped.
we?
It fits the show.
Here we go. I wrote this question this week because this has been bugging me now since the end of Picard, and I think we should be talking about it.
Do you
think they will make Star Trek Legacy? And
I think
gonna
there's
say
somebody in the room that's going to
no.
shut this down real quick.
I'm going to say no. And I'll tell you why they're not going to do it right now. My opinion, and obviously Aaron and that say, you can't have two shows with the Enterprise at the same time. Like, no studio's going to do that. They've already got you start. We've got an Enterprise already that is now on the screen, and we're following their journey. I just don't think they're going to do it right now. And plus, if you looked at Paramount stocks in the last 24
that's
hours,
what I was going to say.
they won't have the money to do it either. And I think that's why they're very coy about it. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I
Aaron?
think that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that what's his name? Oh my God, Terry Matalas said, literally, there's nothing in production, there's nothing planned, there's, it's just something I would like to do. If they do it, they're not going to call it Legacy anyway. They'll change it in the name. I'm almost positive at that. But yeah, from what I understand, there's literally nothing going on yet.
Jason?
Yet is,
Yet is the key.
Power
phrase.
of yet. Yeah. I think it will happen. I don't know if it will be a series, but I do think they'll definitely do TV movies.
That's probably a safe option for
that
them,
would be
isn't
cool.
it?
Yes, because after all, they did have an Enterprise on TV, and then they had feature-length movies featuring the Enterprise with another crew. I think that's doable. Honestly, I want to see it. I want to see a television series. That's just me being selfish. I think that Trek fans are smart enough to accept two at the same time. I don't think it's going to happen right away. I think that another series has to be put out to pasture first.
Strange New
Before it
Worlds.
does happen, it'll probably be Strange New Worlds. Realistically, Strange New Worlds will probably run 5 seasons and then be done, just like they did with Discovery. After that, yeah, I could see it happening.
I think they also need to let the Picard fever die down a little bit to see if it's actually interest in it, or if it's just people were just happy that they didn't get season 1 and 2.
Right, exactly. That's a
You know what else is annoying with Star Trek fans at the moment is I'm seeing a lot of negative hate and memes around Picard.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want? God, it's like, ugh.
They literally made the carpet line in the show to like jab at the people who were complaining that the ships didn't have carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I find it kind of the toxic fandom is kind of annoying. It's like, okay, you can't go and start making your own fan theories that are, fanfics that you wrote and then expect it to come up on television. That's not going to happen. It's the same thing with Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, I thought Obi-Wan was going to be Rey's dad, and he did something on his own when he was on Tatooine, and that's why that happened. But that's not the case. And did I pitch a bit about it? No, I just hated the fact that they killed Snoke in the middle of it. And happy May the 4th, everybody.
I'm still really upset that it wasn't the butt bugs.
And then if you don't,
also just that. And I'll tell you what, everybody gets wrong about fans. Or even us, we had theories we were wrong about. Even the star of the show didn't like the idea of it until he watched it. He came out with an article only the other day. There was an article saying that he wasn't a big fan of that last episode till he watched it, and then was in tears and very emotional and got it in the end. So
Yep. Were you sitting next to him too, or near him?
Aaron wiping away his tears.
Huh? Oh, actually, yes. When not the last episode, I was not sitting with him because they did it separately, and then we came in afterwards. But I sat in his chair, which apparently, the somebody came up to me. It's like, do you know where you're sitting? I'm like, like the wrong spot. Like, that's where Patrick Stewart just sat. And so I found a picture earlier where they or later that they showed like the screen, and I was like, oh, that's the top of my head. No, that's the top of Patrick Stewart's head.
I'm thinking
my glasses are not
opportunity. Yeah, it would be great if you had a photo of him sitting in the chair, and then we could Photoshop you going like, "Get out of my chair."
Yeah, that would be cool. I paid for this.
Excuse me.
Get out.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
all right.
It's also like, don't listen to always, the people who want to do a show doesn't mean that they should do a show. Like Patrick Stewart, yes, he plays the captain. That doesn't necessarily mean he should write the story of it.
Correct.
Correct. And if I say, for some reason, in an alternate universe, I was in that writer's room, I would have instinctively fought against the idea of the Borg, but I would have been totally wrong because it worked really well.
In this case,
Yeah.
In this case, I'm sure we could talk about the not so great cases when we get to a few Voyager episodes about the Borg.
Yeah. You have that dead horse, and they go, "Keep eating it." So,
mind you, Jason's going, you know what? It wasn't the butt bugs, but I'm writing my script for the next show, and it's awesome. It only stars butt bugs.
Star Trek butt bugs. They'll get you in the end.
I'm going to run to a few comments.
The first episode's called "Where a Few Men Have Gone Before."
Sorry,
all right, so the music has Nita dancing in Brooklyn.
What music? Oh, from the
This is my favorite section. I'm assuming the stupid Star Trek questions. This is what goes on when I'm not there. Yeah, it's a lot.
Sorry,
A
Nita.
lot quieter. There's no soundscapes of Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's right.
Easily, it's like
We just have cats destroying things.
Yeah. I think the Paramount financial status is what makes the determination. I agree there.
Money talks.
Money, please.
And remember, it's
I will
not
take
show
either.
friends; it's show business.
That's right. 100% agree with Joe, and I think they're talking about like the toxic fandom.
No, just cut that out, and just anytime she ever says something, just put that up.
Yeah, actually, Lee, I'm going to leave this on frame
I
for a
agree,
bit so I can
100%
save
with
this.
Yep.
Screenshot. There we go. All right. So I'm going to use this against you. And Devin and I were talking about the toxic fandoms the other day. Yes, it's a cesspool of villains.
It's
be an
not as
interesting
bad
show.
as Star Wars.
It's pretty
toxic
bad.
Fandom,
Yeah,
not that bad.
It is an element there. There is a strong element there.
Yeah. And how sad is the people, like it or not, the loving groups they used to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Everybody was like chilling and loving it. So
age
You also
has a
kind
lot
of have to
do with-
curate your group too. That helps.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to listen to them, thankfully.
yeah, there's
I
some
think
people
age
that-
has a lot to do with toxic fandom too. I think, because you grow up with a certain era of whatever you're into, and then you get a bit older and it's not continuing in the same way that you want it to go, and that's where I reckon the toxicity comes from. And I say that because of being a Star Wars nerd as well. That we experienced that in the early 2000s, late 90s, where all us grew up and this is not my Star Wars. But my 25-year-old son now, that was his Star Wars.
Right.
The prequels. That's what he grew up and loved.
That's sad. No.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, but no,
The
he
Phantom
loved it,
Menace
and
on
that
my
was just
birthday. It created my birthday movie curse. I cannot have a good movie on my birthday ever again. Apparently.
Wow.
So what, your birthday was
1999.
99, right? So,
Oh, I was on a date for that one. I remember that. Wow.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Personal sharing. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to wrap up one of our longer episodes of the Agony Booth, one of the shortest episodes of Star Trek.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe and all those wonderful things. And be sure to check out our merch store. Take it away, Jace. VHS. Check out SpectrumSanctorum.net for all of our podcast merch. We have an entire merch store ready to give you all the things that you loved about our podcast. And get notified on all of our socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and our Spectrum Sanctorum merch